Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and welcome to a very special edition of Player Attack. You might remember a few weeks ago we made a big deal about how Australian free-to-air community television was being shut down, taking a chunk of excellent homegrown content with it. Well, that didn't happen. Literally 4 days before the transmitters were set to be turned off, community stations including C44 in Adelaide and C31 Melbourne and Geelong were given a reprieve, a 6-month extension on their licence and an extra half a year on air. To celebrate this great news, we've decided to take a look back at some of the best bits of Player Attack that never quite made it to community television before we step forward again into the future. If nothing else, you can see how far we've come since our very first episode, which aired more than 5 years ago. This is Player Attack. But first, the latest gaming news. With the introduction of an Australian R18 adults-only rating for video games earlier in the year, there was one question on everybody's minds. Would we finally see the latest Mortal Kombat officially released in Australia? The answer, my friends, is yes. Mortal Kombat Complete Edition is indeed headed down under, set to arrive on May 1st for both Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. This is the same Mortal Kombat that was launched around the world in 2011 and famously refused classification here twice. The latest version contains all of the DLC released for the game so far, including a playable Freddy Krueger, and has been granted an R18 rating for high-impact violence, blood and gore. It's not one for the kids, but if you are a fan of fighters, it is one of the best we've seen in years.
The details elude me now. But the details wouldn't change a goddamn thing.
It's not Bioshock 3, it's not a sequel, it's a completely different thing.
It's Bioshock Infinite.
It is, it's Bioshock Infinite, and it's set in a completely different space and it uses completely different everything. Are you expecting consumer backlash because there are no big daddies and little sisters?
No, I think that I do anticipate that people will embrace the title because it is what it is. It is its own unique title, and I think that people will appreciate the amount of craft that's there. They will appreciate this journey that Booker and Elizabeth go on, and the amount of detail. We've taken so much of our effort to making this into a fully realized world and these fully realized characters, and I think that there's plenty of new here to love. So yeah, I'm not too worried about people missing the big daddies. I think Bioshock, the Rapture series is about that story's been told, and I think it's really for us about Columbia now.
In the end, this is classic God of War gameplay. It's occasionally chaotic and sometimes frustrating with some inexplicable difficulty spikes, but it's always dynamic and action-packed and should satisfy series fans. God of War Ascension is one of the first titles we've seen that has been given the new R18+ classification in Australia, and it certainly earns it. The series has always been known for graphic battles and brutal fatalities, but these are ramped up even further with extra grunting, blood and dismemberment. It's always against horrible mythical creatures, so it's within the realms of decency, but the extra violence which earns the R18 rating is certainly evident. There's also some sexual themes and nudity to round off the adult content, and this is certainly more than we've seen in Australian gaming so far.
Jimmy the Geek here in 1990. The big news this year, several prominent releases from Nintendo. The third Super Mario Bros. Game is released. The aptly named Super Mario Bros. 3 was first teased in last year's The Wizard film, starring Fred Savage. The game seems to be taking some elements from the first game and seemingly ignoring a few from the second. Mario's new abilities include flight with the use of a raccoon tail, sliding down hills and into enemies, and picking up and moving Koopa shells. Rumours of a map screen and the inclusion of a clone of the original Mario Bros. Arcade game are also running rampant. Sales for the game are expected to be very, very high.
There comes a time in an octopus's life where he just has to scramble out of the ocean, find himself a bride and settle down into suburban bliss. We can't roam the depths of the ocean like teenagers forever after all. There are certain rules that apply in this situation, however. 1, obviously, never let your human family find out that you're a creature from the deep blue briny sea. 2, watch out for that crazy chef who wants to unmask you and potentially cook you. These are the very real dangers faced by the titular character of Young Horse's second Octodad game, Dadliest Catch. The game hit PC, Macs and Linux earlier this year and has finally come to consoles exclusively on Sony's PS4. Octodad is one of the most creative, unusual, and fun titles released on any next-gen platform to date. It's an example of just how much can still be done to craft original scenarios in gaming as we move into this next generation.
Eve, how long have you been doing this?
I've been cosplaying for 8 years, but professionally for about 2 years.
What have we got going on here today?
This is a character from WB's Arrow, Slade Wilson prior to Slade basically becoming Deathstroke. Oh, that's a spoiler.
I am Jack of Blades from the original Fable.
It's just not a convention without the chief, and this is a mean-looking chief.
I'm wearing roller derby Catwoman today. My skates are behind my table, sorry.
And does Dredd ever remove his helmet?
No, never.
Right answer, right answer.
But we have a full group of the roller derby Gotham City Sirens. It's a lot of fun. It's just like a new fun take on some of our favourite characters.
Doctor, please. I'd scream at the man in the plain slacks and a button-up shirt that looks like a tablecloth. It'll be the 3rd time this week he'd kicked me out of the clinic. I've told you how to stop the pain in your thumbs and the strain on your palms twice already, he'd tell me. It's simple, Jack. Just turn the video game off. I'd reply, but I just can't stop playing, Doc. I mean, I've tried, but I think about it all the time. I think about it when I'm sitting at my desk at work, I pull it out on the bus ride home, while my girlfriend's in the shower, and while I wait for coffee at the cafe around the corner. It's a constant during my bowel movements. My friends ask to hang out with me and I tell them I'm busy or I'm sick. I think these are all the signs of addiction, Doc, and I need your help. I'd wait for his expression to change to see if any sympathy formed in his eyes before adding, I'm addicted to Super Smash Brothers.
Hi, my name is Marcus Smith. I'm the creative director of Sunset Overdrive from Insomniac Games. I'm here to interview Jessica Citizen from Player Attack. Jessica, why do you attack players?
Let's start off with the first obvious question. What is it like to embody two of the scariest boogeymen in Hollywood history?
Well, you know, what's great for Ken and I is that the sort of incubation period on Freddy vs. Jason lasted from almost the inception of the original Nightmare on Elm Street until we did it in 2003. And we worked real hard on it, and Ken will tell you. I mean, Ken was more used to the cold weather than I was, but we had to go to I had to go work on his turf at Camp Crystal Lake. And by the time we got there in the fall in Vancouver, it was cold. We literally had a hot tub on the set to jump into between takes. But it was great because almost immediately after it opened, Ken and I knew, you know, we had a worldwide hit.
Pass on a little message for me, will you?
I had no concept, really. I'd worked on number 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, as the stunt coordinator and the stunt double and the fry cook that gets killed. And but when I interviewed for the stunt coordinating job on Freddy vs. Jason, and the producer had me come in, asked me if I'd like to audition for it, and I did, and really still had no concept until I walked into the trailer and I met Robert for the first time, and he said, well, Ken, we'll be seeing each other for the rest of our lives now. And what do you mean? And he goes, well, conventions. And here we are all these years later, and you know, we've spent so much time together, and I've gotten to know him and his beautiful wife, Nancy, and it's just been a fantastic experience, and I cannot believe what an icon Jason is all over the world.
You have quite a strong following in the gaming and geeky communities. How did that come about?
Wow, so you know, one of my first ever videos to go, as they say, viral on YouTube, or the tubes, as I call them, was a cover of The Legend of Zelda. And I remember, you know, I played Zelda as a kid, and you know, several people had said that I looked kind of like a little mystical, like, elf character, and I was like, well, that means I would probably make a good Link. And I've always loved dress up and cosplay, so I was like, I'm gonna, you know, and honestly, I kind of thought people would make fun of me for it, and so I did, you know, because I'm dancing around the woods, pretending to be Link from Zelda and playing a violin. So yeah, I thought everyone would think it was, you know, maybe, I thought people would maybe make fun of me for it, but instead it just blew up, and it was my first, you know, big video, and actually really kind of kick-started my YouTube career, as I say. And from then I just started getting all these requests for gaming songs, you know, can you cover Skyrim? Can you do Assassin's Creed? Yada yada. And you know, even though I haven't played some of these newer games because I really don't game much anymore, but I I mean, I'm never one to say no to an awesome song. They all have amazing scores, and I get to dress up like these really cool characters, make costumes, and, you know, play amazing music. So it's like a win-win.
So voice work, how did you fall into such a gig?
How does one fall into anything? I think it was a big open pit. I stumbled upon it. Somebody heard me screaming and went, wow, you'd be a great voice actor.
That is probably the best answer I've heard. Way better than acting school and wanting to do it.
Oh, screw acting school. That's for losers.
Accidental injury, the way to go?
Accidental injury is always the way. If you can break a bone on your way down, that's the way to fall into voice acting. Definitely.
And compensation payout.
Exactly, yes. Lawsuits. I'll just interview myself. I've been asked many times if women like it when I do the Duke voice in bed, and I reply to fans that women don't know who Duke Nukem is. Women in my age group, they've never heard of Duke Nukem. If I go, oh baby, you're hot, they're like, why are you talking like that?
What does John St. John do when he's not being Duke?
Can I say this on camera? No. Well, I have many hobbies.
How many of them are not illegal in 51 states?
One, maybe. But no, I'm busy doing commercials and infomercial work, and I do theme park character voices as well. If you've ever heard of Legoland or Dollywood or Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri, I do voices for rides and attractions, that kind of stuff. I do radio and TV imaging. Yeah.
So basically, in America, you're a big shot.
I'm a voice whore, basically. I'll say anything for money.
I am here at E3 2013, and it is my great pleasure to be standing next to Hank Kersey, the military advisor for Call of Duty. How does one get a job like that?
Jessica, you got to be lucky. You got to be really lucky. And actually, I was reluctant initially to take the employment. I've been with them for all 10 years. You know, I got a call in my comfort of my home and said, hey, come be the Call of Duty advisor. I said, I don't know what Call of Duty is, and I don't like video games, so no, I'm not coming. And the guy said, well, they're going to fly us out first class, and they're going to give us whiskey. I said, well, ooh, I guess I could go. Now, my reluctance turned to enthusiasm when I went to see the studios, and I saw in level passion and the craftsmanship that was going into the making of the games. Now, this is a World War II games, but what they were doing, because they were so detailed and authentic, was they were telling history. And the kids or young men or young humans that played the game would gain an appreciation for that generation that was passing into the long night. So I became a real enthusiast. Now, since that time, they transformed in 07, they transformed to Modern Warfare pretty much. And the same level of commitment and passion to making the game authentic was there. And also now, folks that played the game got an appreciation for what soldiers, Australian SAS guys, coming back from the front, we went through. Now, they weren't getting the whole experience, but you get a little slice of a snippet of what looks down gun sights.
Hey.
Hey.
We're the Proto-Men.
Proto-Men.
International time-traveling superstars from America.
USA.
And you're watching Player Attack.
Player Attack.
Player Attack.
They attack players.
So watch out.
This is water bottle.
That's water. He has long hair.
Now we're just saying things.
So we are here in sunny San Francisco, showing off Dirty Bomb, which is Splash Damage and Nexon's new free-to-play multiplayer first-person shooter. You play as one of a series of mercs. You can take 3 of them into battle, actually. You can need these merc characters, and you run around and you shoot people in the head for money. Sorry, there's no nice way of saying that, is there?
So how is it different being a mayor in the real world as compared to being a mayor in SimCity?
Oh, well, I like to say that cities aren't rocket science. They're actually infinitely more complex. So, you know, we're talking about a billion different variables, about, you know, dealing with people and subtly influencing how they use cities. And also we're going from an era where it was a sort of car dependency, and we've got to start to tackle some of these issues of congestion. So Australia might lose 20 $20 billion of lost economic productivity from people sitting in traffic jams. So you've got to kind of work with what people want versus what cities need. And so you're really in the city business, and it's about getting people to move efficiently and get all of those sorts of things. So it's also about influence. Everyone thinks I've got this amazing magic wand and I can just approve developments, refuse developments, and just make things happen. It's not really about power, it's about influence and getting people to work together. So you've got to be much more patient and even better, at least you don't get aliens attacking and stuff like that. Well, I'll touch wood, hey?
Dean, tell us a little bit about that. Have you been playing the game?
Yeah, I've been playing for quite some time now. Obviously, it comes out in about a week, so perfect timing for the World Cup. ICC do it well, Disney do it well, and the graphics, as you probably saw up here today when we were doing the live game, the graphics are fantastic. You can be your own player, you can be a current player of any side around the world. There's 13 or 14 different teams to choose from, and it's a lot of fun. And for the people that can't be out there playing this wonderful game of cricket, can be at home on their PC or their little smartphone. They can be in a club lounge anywhere in any airport, be on the aeroplane. They can be playing it whenever suits. So it's a lot of fun.
I'm joining the robot here for Player Attack, talking to Tim Rose. Tim, you've had a very, very long career and you've brought some incredibly iconic puppets to life. How was it working with the likes of Jim Henson?
Careful of the really long career. I get sensitive at my age about how long it's been. Jim Henson was definitely the best job I ever had. The man, I describe it as the days of King Arthur's court in Camelot, when it was always sunny and never rained. He had a company that I worked for at the time that was called Henson Associates, and we were all effectively kind of equal share partners in the company. Everybody, you got your salary, and of course some people got more money and some people got less, but we all got a portion of the profit sharing from any of the merchandise that was done, and we got to go on company meetings. One year our company meeting was held in Bermuda for a week, and we had to have meetings to prove that it was a tax write-off. So we would show up in the conference room with our swimming suits on, and Jim would say, oh, he had this really good idea about something he was wanting to do. It was called Dark Crystal or something, and then about 10 minutes he'd go, oh, is that the time? Last one to the beach. And we'd all dive out through the windows. But we did work hard as well. But he was, I think that his true genius was he took a lot of what has since been started to be called nerds, people who didn't just fit into normal society, and he gave them a home and a little playpen to play in, and we all rewarded him by making stuff that people all over the world really like to see.
What would Iggy do was the premise of that was the rock and roll end times.
Yeah, which created a lot of problems around here, because everyone around here at first started like, we were like the kind of cocky attitude of rock stars, but it was like the first pitch we did was an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
We
not
made that, no, not at all. We made that right turn, and we came in. It was just to the owners and a couple other people at the company.
Interested parties,
yes, and it was basically like we vomited everything we liked into a PowerPoint presentation. Had nothing to talk about a game, but we were like, here's old Popeye cartoons and vintage Halloween masks and pictures of Iggy Pop doing weird things.
And have you seen the guys with the hyenas
from
Kenya?
From
yeah,
Kenya.
we want them.
And at the end, they were just like, what the hell are you guys talking about?
Right. We thought that maybe the best way to pitch a game would be to not get bogged down in story or mechanics or, gameplay.
In this little world, people know who I am, but I could go out on the street and just scream, I'm the guy who created J.C. Denton, and no one would know or care.
Everyone loves Mario Kart. Do you know someone who doesn't love Mario Kart? It's not possible. But do we really need 8 of them?
So you've written a whole stack of pretty awesome characters. Do you have a particular favourite that you really, really like to work with and that you keep trying to work more into?
I've just to totally be nepotistic, I really like writing for Tina because it's my sister who's voicing her, and she just really gets where I come from, and she adds neat things. Handsome Jack's a really, really fun character to write. I actually like writing Scarlet and Torg a lot as well for the DLCs because, again, Chris Rager and Colleen Klingbeard are just really, really solid voice actors, and they know just what to do. And there are a lot of characters I really like that some people may not even like as much as I like them, but I do, so screw them. I'm the one who gets to write them.
Daniel, you're one of the current most popular wrestlers in the world. What did your parents say when you said, I'm going to be a wrestler?
My mom said, you're not going to go to college? And I was like, yeah. My mom was very disappointed. My dad was like, hey, you get one opportunity to live this life. Go live your dream.
I don't really play video games myself, but I've been in a bunch of them, and the 2K14 game is the latest, greatest creation that I'm really proud to be a part of, to be able to leave a big enough of a mark on the business that I know and love that was so important that they keep bringing me back into these video games. So I'm truly honored to be here. I don't necessarily sit around and play video games all the time. I'm more of an outdoor guy. I got a chance to play this game before I came out and did the panel at night, and I looked great. It looked like I felt great. The technology just keeps getting better and better. It's almost like being in the ring. And it brought back some memories. Watching the Stone Cold Steve Austin on the 2K14 game brought back a lot of memories and put some chill bumps on my skin.
So this is the 7th BlizzCon that Blizzard have held. You've obviously been to all of them. What have been some of the highlights over the years that you've been doing this?
Yeah, I mean, so the first BlizzCon by far was a very powerful experience for all of us. Although I think we only had probably 5,000 attendees, and this weekend I think we've probably got somewhere between 25,000 and 30,000 people participating in the event in person, and we have the DirecTV pay-per-view, and we have the internet stream, and so you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people participating in the BlizzCon experience this weekend. But that first BlizzCon, when we're on the show floor and we're seeing people lined up out the doors of the convention center, pressing up against the doors to get in, to sprint to the stations to try the works in progress, and seeing just, I don't think we realized it until after that how much passion we've sort of created in the fans with the products that we've delivered to them. So that's really exciting. You know, I was feeling very, last night at the costume contest, I was feeling like the community that we have is incredibly special. You know, there were costumes of all sorts of different quality, and some of them were amazing, and some of them weren't going to win any contests, but they were very, very special because they were the representation of that person's passion for these games and these interactive experiences. And it's rare and special to be able to witness that and be part of that. You know, and there's always stories about people that have shared gaming experiences in the virtual space, and they come here and they meet in person for the first time. And I love hearing those stories. And then, you know, there's always like people telling stories about how they've met in person, or I'm sorry, they met their spouse, or you know, their best friend or whatever through these experiences. And so I know I'm just rambling now, but one of the first BlizzCons, I don't know if it was the first or second or third, what struck me most was I was on the show floor and I met a family, and they were with their 5-year-old, and they all gamed together, and so I met a 5-year-old fan of World of Warcraft, and it was probably less than an hour later I met a fan who was in his 60s, And so the incredible diversity of people that are very passionate about what we do is really exciting as well.
Bye-bye, everybody. Hee-hee. Thank you very much.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, it's back to our regularly scheduled programming with a look at Adelaide's anime and video game convention, AVCon. In the meantime, you can catch us at playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Also, if you want to support Player Attack, you can find us on Patreon and help us bring you the latest in gaming news, plus all of these wonderful interviews and reviews from the world of video games. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.